Hi guys, Jason Smith here, welcome to AskGolfNut channel and welcome to Ping G440 Max Driver. I've also got the SF Tech, their straight flight technology, their anti-slice stroke, very draw bias one. And I've also got the LS Tech, their low spin technology, therefore potentially better players that want to keep their spin down, or at least golfers that have an issue with their spin profile. They'll be coming after this. So the new Ping G440 Max has gone on a diet. Ping have done every single thing they can to try and strip weight from the old G430 head to try and make this thing go a little bit faster. Now, there are some different pieces of technology inside this. We'll go through them one by one very, very quickly before we give this one a whack into the fairway. I'll also be doing my 3 swing speed testing, my slow, medium, fast, my 80, 95 and 110 miles an hour swing speed testing to see how this works when you don't swing at 110 miles an hour, and also do my forgiveness testing, get a good old heat map of how good this more forgiving face is. Technology wise, inside the head where the hosel is, they've taken weight out and they've saved about 3 grams of weight from the heel section. We've also got a new hosel adapter as well, which means for your old shafts, if you've got an old G430 shaft, it will go in the new head, but the new shafts for the G440 head won't go in the old. We've got carbon fly wraparound on all of the models now. First of all, popped its head into, I think it was the LS Tech of the G430, then the Max 10K had it, but not the other 2 models. We have a new thinner face, hotter face, not from the middle. That is governed. You cannot go any faster from the middle, but from off-center hits, they're trying to minimize the thickness of that face to try and get as much ball speed off-center hits. We'll actually test that one later on. And we have got a new back weight. That back weight now is 29 grams. And although Ping have saying with all the different changes they've made inside the head to try and strip weight from the old G430 head and add a bigger back weight, they've actually taken weight off the static weight of the whole thing. Down by the golf ball, it does feel a long, long way away. One thing Ping have said what they've done is they've increased the shaft lengths by another 1/4 of an inch to now 46 inches. Get that in your head, 46 inches, which hopefully will make the mass travel faster. But it does mean when I get down by the golf ball, it feels like just such a long distance away. Right, let's go give it a hit. My left foot is splayed out because I'm still protecting the knee. That might be down the left side slightly. We'll be okay. We're carrying good, which is the main thing. We might actually run out of fairway. Feeling is just lovely. Club head speed 110 miles an hour. Club path is slightly across with my face basically 0 to that. Decent strike, 8mm toe, 8mm high. That's where I normally like to collect my strikes from a middle hit for me. It's going 274 yards of carry, 295 total. We are spinning at about 2338. It's going to be a slightly higher spin profile driver, this one. If that's spinning at near 2324 at 9 degrees, it will be interesting to see what happens to the data set when we go to 10.5 degrees. But this golf club is absolutely going to be for the golfer that wants to try and keep that golf ball on the fairway. Yes, it feels long, it does, and the more I use it, it feels less long. I'm getting more used to it. But considering my driver is 44 and something inches, going to something which is 46. Yeah, oh, I got this in the Tensai Black 65S. There you go, for the people that care about shaft. The feeling feels really nice. Generally speaking, Ping in the past have been quite, shall we say, loud. Yes, the 425 was a really good driver, but boy was it loud. The G430, they've tried to make it a little bit quieter, and of course now in the G440 they are working their way to try and make it sound as... No manufacturer really wants a marketing selling point to be, wow, that's loud. Yeah, it's going to be polarizing if not, so it is a much nicer thud. Standing on the tee, it's just great. I mean, that's fairway like a yard offline. 273 yards of carry, 109.6 mile an hour club head speed. I am at my normal speed, but I will do my 3 swing speed testing. Club path is slightly across with a face baby 0 to that, little baby cut. 14mm toe, 8mm high. So I pushed it a little bit more toe than I should. However, 273 carry. Spin 2324, but that is with a slightly high toe hit. That will gear the spin down. It's down at 9 degrees at the moment. It's the max it will do with a 10.5 head, because it will move a degree and a degree and a half in both directions. Also got some flat settings at the back there as well if you want to hit it. But it just works really, really well. Now that's a cut. That is a cut. We are going to have enough. Oh, we'll be fine anyway, yeah. That's my fault. That's too cutty. That's my normal shot, is a baby fade, but that's a bit too fadey. Club path is 2.5 across, face is 0.7 open. Strike is not bad whatsoever, 6mm toe, 0mm high, can't complain at all. Spin's slightly up now, 2765, that's a fair amount of spin, which means it's going 40 yards in the air and 43.2 degrees of descent angle. So within reason, if I'd hit the green, of which no chance whatsoever, that may have stopped. And I like to see drivers going in sub 40 degrees. Irons I like seeing going definitely the other side of 40 degrees, 45 degrees would be lovely for stopping power. That's just a bit too much stopping power, but that's because of the spin rate. But 20 yards offline, that is a miss. I am not a robot. The feeling's nice, I like it. It does feel long. I won't lie, it does feel long, but I'm slowly getting used to the length. Oh, I mishit that. That was definitely a miss hit. Slightly low on the face, you can feel it. Wasn't bad at all, but just slightly low on the hidden fairway still. Club path and face to path, very 0-0, 109 miles an hour swing, not bad whatsoever. There's the low, 6mm low, 4mm hill. That's interesting because I can distinctly feel low on the face. It's great feedback, the fact that if you haven't got talcum powder or a quad to tell you exactly where you're hitting it. When you're practicing, guys, strike is very, very important and one of the most important things when you practice. And so being able to feel, have the feedback where you hit on the face, very important. One more go. I do like hitting this. It feels possibly of all the ping drivers I've hit in a long time. I used to game the G440 LS Tech. Now that was one heck of a loud beast. Everyone knows you're hitting the ping. Titanium everything. This one being a bit more carbon everywhere. The face is still titanium, but that's the only part of it nowadays. So it does feel much, much nicer than the old school ping. Last one, and then we're going to give it a hit at 3 different swing speeds and get that heat map going. Again, that feels like fairway. I've cut it, but I mean, that is not a bad shot. That's like 12, 13 yards offline, if that. Club head speed, 110 miles an hour. Path is perfect to a face which is slightly across. That's why it went slightly right. 3mm hill, 6mm low, adding to the fact of going slightly right. Spins up now at 3,000 RPM. That is because of the slightly low hit on the face. 110 miles an hour swing speed and delivering 18 degrees loft. It's 14 yards offline. That is a fairway. As far as I'm concerned, that is a fairway. That's a win. And I can't remember, but so far it's been fairway, 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 fairway. I can't remember how many shots I've hit, but let's go for fairway as well. So works very, very well from a point of view of hitting fairway. How does it work from 3 different swing speeds? Let's go hit it 80, 95, and 110 miles an hour, about that sort of speed. Let's also whack it all over the face. Heel, toe, and much lower than that. Let's go get a heat map of how good this face is. And let's go see how good this new Ping G440 Max really is. Ping have always in the past, they've always been heavy head and a very counterbalanced shaft. That's to make sure that you don't feel like you're swinging a really heavy lump on the end of a stick. Well, you'd always normally swing it slightly slower because it is a heavier mass at the end, but you'd get a very good efficiency. You get a lot of transfer of energy into the golf ball because the head is physically lighter. Ping now have decided to go down this slightly lighter route, and comparing the Max that we've got here in the G440 to the old Max is about 5 grams or so lighter. I've measured one against the other and it's about 5 grams or so difference. And it could make quite a difference in how forgiving this golf club is. So on this screen, we've got the 3 different swing speed data. We've got the red, the yellow and the blue. The red is 80 miles an hour, the yellow is 95 miles an hour and the blue is 110 miles an hour. I've got the club head data underneath. We'll look at that one in a sec. Let's just go focus on the ball data first. Let's go to the red, the slower 80 mile an hour swing, and we've got a carry of 183 yards. It's amazing what happens when you start taking some speed away. Now, I've done this this test in the 10.5 setting. I've got the Max at 10.5, the SF Tech at 10.5 and the LS Tech at 9, but I have done all the tests at 10.5. I've changed them because you can move the loft around on the loft sleeves to make sure they're matching. So you've got 183 yards of carry, peaking up at 19 yards in the air and descending at 29 degrees. So it's coming in properly good and shallow. So that's really going to chase down the fairway, and total spin of 1900. So this is the only concern I would have. It's launching at 14 degrees, which is good, but because of that spin, 1900 spin, it's not quite enough. And so you have movement. Obviously, they don't just make 10.5 degree heads, they make 12 degree heads as well. And so I would, for this, I would actually go to the 12 degree head. You've got a little bit more wiggle room. You need more spin, you need more launch at that lower swing speed, but it's doing pretty well. If you go to the yellow, which is the 95 miles an hour, you've got a carry of 230 yards. It's amazing what happens when 15 mile an hour difference makes. It's 50 yards in the air, which is substantial. You've got a peak height of 31 yards, descent angle of 38.7, still under 40 degrees. So again, that's going to hit the fairway and bound down there, which is really nice to see. 230 yards is pretty good. If you go to the full-on speed, the 110 miles an hour, ball speed goes up to 158, but carry is at 266. We've got peak height now of 45 yards in the air, which is getting up there. Descent angle at 45.7, which is a lovely 7-iron descent angle, and spins nearly at 3,000, 2,900. So you can see what happens as soon as you add speed. You effectively add quite a bit of spin, and that's a normal thing. And so these are 10.5 heads. You can see what you would do when it comes to the slower swing speed. You'd put the loft up. So in a 10.5 head, you can absolutely go to 12 degrees. Generally speaking, okay, for an 80 mile an hour swing speed, what I would do is I'd get the 12 degree head, and you've got a bit more wiggle room in that way. And then I would say, really, for this speed, I would say that the 10.5 head is the middle data set, the 95 miles an hour. And if you're going to go to the full-on 110, you would absolutely change the loft. You dial it down to 9 degrees, or even get the 9 degree head and you can move it even lower. If you look at the club head data, we've got 80.3, 95.2 and 110 miles an hour. So within a couple of tenths of a mile an hour, there's your 15 mile an hour jumps. You've got efficiency 1.46, 1.45, 1.44. Angle attacks within 1.4 degrees. Club path is within 0.4 of a degree. Face is within a degree, and loft, we've got 18.8, 19.5 and 19.7, so less than a degree difference between all three data sets, covering 30 miles an hour difference in club head speed. I'll just put up on the screen very quickly the graphical representation of all the information that I've been speaking about, because some people find it a lot easier to physically see than they actually do reading from tabular data. Right, so how forgiving is this golf club? I've captured two different data sets for the heat maps. You've got an efficiency heat map and you've got a distance factor heat map. The distance factor heat map is an interesting one. On the screen, you can see straight away that is the efficiency overlay. Wow, that is a lot of green. So that heat map basically means no different to the irons when we do the heat maps of the irons. Remember, an iron is a flat face where a driver or any wood has got a curved face, roll and bulge, and so that's why we have the distance factor map. But the efficiency map is just a measure of how well that golf club does at trying to keep up ball speed around the face. And green is really good and red is not so good. Look at the green, it's massive. And it's quite common to see a really very big green blob on a ping. And especially when you go down to the bottom of the golf club, that's normal anyway, because of roll and bulge, you have less loft at the bottom. So that's why we don't use efficiency as a measure of how good a golf club is when it's got a curved face, because of the fact that it will always look green down the bottom because it's got less loft. Less loft means less deflection. Even though it's away from the sweet spot, center of gravity, you're always going to get a good transfer of energy. The problem is with vertical gearing, you also add spin. And so that's why we have the other one. We have the distance factor heat map. And this basically shows where on the face me have to hit it to get the most distance. And you're talking about, I see, middle to slightly high toe is where you get the most distance. And as soon as you move away from that, you get natural drop off. Now, low on the face, generally speaking, we saw from the heat map on the efficiency is really good. But if you then add the spin component, obviously it increases spin by a lot and it then reduces distance. That's why it goes into the red. Anything in the red is 10% effectively. Anything more than 10% goes into the red. Now, the interesting thing with this golf club is the fact that you can move the weight on the back. If you're someone who hits out the heel, all you'll need to do is get that weight, take it out the position that it is and put it into the heel slot. That will move that green blob over. And no different if you're someone who hits it predominantly toe, then you get that weight and then put it towards the toe, and that moves that green blob over. If you have a golf club which is not movable, the weight's not movable, then you don't have the ability to move that green blob. Now that effectively shows that I need to hit it slightly higher on the face to get the vertical gearing that I need to get the most distance. If I'd have effectively gone to a 9-degree head, what you'll see is that green blob will then come down closer to the middle, and so my ideal spin profile would mean the fact that that green blob will be in the middle. Slightly toey still, but again, you can move it. This is why it's so important to get custom fit. Make sure you're in the right loft, make sure you're in the right head, and whichever head you are in, make sure you've got that weight in the right place, right point, to make your strike advantageous to where that sweet spot is. It's a okay sized green blob for where you need to hit it. For me, it's absolutely fine because that's generally speaking where I want to hit a driver. Slightly high toe works absolutely fine for me. But again, if I was a heel striker, I'd want to move that weight at the back towards the heel to move that CG across and move that green blob over a bit. So to conclude on the G440 Max driver, let's go looks and feel. Looks wise, is a distinct difference to that of the old G430, little less angular and definitely a different color scheme. We've gone from the yellow or whatever that color was to the blue, which is a much nicer color scheme. The head covers look, I feel, much better as well. When you're looking at the feel of this golf club absolutely feels so much nicer, I feel, than the G430. Ping have made a effort, shall we say, over the years, changing from the G425, which was rather loud, not as loud as the G30, etc., but still rather loud, going to the G430 and then G440. It's a progressive change in its acoustics, and I really, really like it. When it comes to performance, of course, I'm using the 10.5 heads in the comparison to see how something works at 3 different swing speeds. In reality, I'd be using the 9-degree head to get the spin down because the spin's a little bit too high for me at the moment. You can do that in, obviously, loft of the head. The main thing to take from the forgiveness is the fact that, obviously, the efficiency is a massive green blob. It does really well at maintaining ball speeds from all over the face. But the main thing to take for me is that distance factor map. That distance factor map shows that green blob can physically move with that CG placement of the weight, which is an amazing tool for fitters out there to make sure that you fit this properly for the golfer in question. So, hope you liked the video. If you did, go and hit that like button down there, thumbs up, go and hit it. YouTube likes, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's the most important button because if you click on hit that subscribe button, that enables you to get more followers. More followers mean more product, and more product means more reviews for you to see. Next to that also is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.